worse year in office than Ronald Reagan did in his first year with respect to conservative agenda. In fact, the conservative group made this determination based on its own agenda of policy recommendations, of which President Trump embraced 64%. President Reagan embraced only 49%. So has President Trump become the new gold standard of conservatism? With me now to discuss matters, Jesse Otto, Washington Times columnist, also National Coalition for Trump advisor, and Tommy Binion, Heritage Foundation Congressional and Executive Branch Relations Director. Tommy, so Heritage Foundation has the mandate for leadership, 5 individual publications, 334 unique policy recommendations, and President Trump took up 64% of them in his budget. Does that make him the new gold standard of conservatism?
Absolutely. President Trump is a conservative president. And also, this analysis shows that he's a very active president. He's adopted many of these recommendations and pushed them forward and accomplished many of them. It's things like the Paris climate change agreement. It's things like repealing Barack Obama's net neutrality regulations. Those types of things, these are sort of under-the-radar accomplishments, under-the-radar policies that he's pursued. And yes, they're conservative, and yes, they're good for the country, and this analysis gives him credit for that.
You know, Madison, and a lot of the things that we have on the list there really angered the left progressives in the mainstream media, getting out of the Paris Climate Accord, repealing net neutrality. President Trump took a lot of heat of those.
Yeah, you know, Charles, what an incredible year for conservatives, and I imagine that we're going to have 3 to 7 more incredible years under President Trump. You know, a lot of people looking back were on the fence, conservatives specifically, concerned about some of the things that he said, but you cannot judge him by what he said, but by what he does. He's always been someone that planned to back up his words with actions. That's exactly what he did. We look at the Supreme Court. That's why a lot of people end up coming over the fence, jumping to the side and voting for him. And when he's talking about making an impact long term, let's look at the federal district courts and let's look at the federal appellate courts. I mean, this is places where he's going to have an effect long after his presidency is over in the world of conservatism.
Madison, do you think then that ultimately people should say, hey, forget about the rhetoric and the occasional tweet that may be distasteful, if you will, and look at the achievements and the direction we're going? That ultimately is what matters?
Oh, absolutely, because guess what? These words and silly tweets that people agree or disagree on and bicker about aren't going to affect people's lives, but these policies and these decisions that he's making in the Oval Office are going to affect our lives not only now, like I said, but for decades to come. And so I think that's what people need to keep in mind, and I think that's what they will keep in mind when we go to the midterms in 2018 and we look at back, you know, to 2016. They were on the fence hoping this would happen, and it did happen. So I think they're going to do that in 2018 and 2020 as well.
Tommy, I know it's a badge of honor, but some people may say approximately 70 former Heritage employees either work for the Trump transition team or are now part of the administration. Is that too much influence by one particular organization?
No, I don't think so. That's absolutely a strategy of the Heritage Foundation to better the country. The individuals, the researchers, the smart people here at the Heritage Foundation have a passion for this country. They're patriots, and they went to work in the administration to make the country a better place. I don't think that's a knock against Heritage or too much influence at all. And yes, it's those 70 individuals and the president and the rest of his administration that enacted and adopted these policies. Right. And we believe the reason we work here, the reason we work so hard on these policies is because we believe that ultimately they're going to deliver a better America for the American people.
Quickly, before I let you go, Tommy, is there one of the items that ranks high that wasn't adopted that you'd like to still see implemented? I know there's a lot of them, but the one that maybe sticks out the most to you.
Repeal and replace Obamacare. It's got to go. Health care is too expensive. That depends on the Congress. The president's leading on it, but it's got to happen.
Thank you both very, very much. Appreciate it. President Trump